When students returned to school after the pandemic, teachers recognized a sharp increase in cell phone use in class. Federal data shows that in the 2019-2020 school year, about 77% of public schools in the U.S. banned the use of phones during school hours. But could a complete ban in schools be considered an overreaction? So let's bring in Erica Berry to talk more about this. She's a teacher and she is also a writer. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you did some reporting at the start of the school year about how frustrating it is to teach a class of distracted students, but you didn't fully support a ban in schools. Now, we were just interestingly talking about this, Anne-Marie and I, yesterday, because we saw a video of a young woman at a school in Tennessee who, pepper sprayed her teacher when he took the phone away from her that she was using to allegedly get answers to a test in class.
And we were surprised that there wasn't already a ban, that this wasn't sort of a normal thing.
Right. So both of us had interesting takes. My take was ban them outright, like kids drop them off in like a lockbox at the start of the day and then pick them up after school. She's a mom. She agreed with that.
Yeah.
But why do you think that we shouldn't have a full-on ban?
I mean, I think one thing to remember is that the pandemic brought school home, right? And with the end of the pandemic, home has sort of come into school and students are struggling to toggle between those things. And I think in my experience as a teacher and also as a freelance writer who struggles with, phone addiction, tech addiction, like these are real parts of being an adult in the world right now. And I guess I believe that we need to teach students how to sort of self-regulate and have some of that ability to toggle. I think pretending that phones don't exist is not realistic in our world. That said, do they belong in classrooms all the time? No, I don't think so.
I'm of the do as I say, not as I do. It's very important to have this by my side. So listen, that being said, the threat of school shootings and, safety in schools, obviously it's a huge deal. Many students and parents feel that it's really important to be able to get in contact with each other. I know that is one thing that I think about my own kid. And when I text her, if she doesn't text me back in like 30 seconds, I'm like, hands on hips. Yeah, this is serious. So, I guess is that something to consider, that maybe kids should have these phones in case of an emergency?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have experts that say, well, potentially in this sort of emergency situation, if students are looking at their phones, they're maybe not paying attention to, instructions, or potential noises or vibrations could pose actual risk if we're in an emergency sort of lockdown situation. I think my personal sort of opinion about this is that we need to do more to minimize school shootings and not to just sort of accepting their inevitability with our policies.
So let me ask you, so the other discussion that we were having is, so let's say now that the kids are able to have the cell phones in the classroom, and there's a child in your class who is not paying attention to what you're doing at the chalkboard, and they're on their phone. I was of the mindset that, if the kid is, as long as he's not being a distraction to other students and he doesn't want to learn, you can't force him to learn. Just leave him alone and teach the kids that want to be taught, that want to learn. Anne-Marie felt a little differently, right? Like you thought, well, isn't it a teacher's job to encourage children to learn?
Yeah,
I'm of the mindset, like, if they're not, you're not here to babysit them if you're not their parent.
But one of the things you point out in, one of the articles that you wrote is that there are other options, like, putting it in boxes or whatever, but these things are expensive. It requires, a whole other sort of infrastructure. But you talked about teaching the kids responsible phone usage. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think I saw, there's some districts that have a sort of green light, yellow light, red light system where, for example, a teacher would be able to show a green light, which would be like, or a green card rather, and that means students can be on their phones at any moment. And then a yellow light is sort of like only for academic, and a red light is really put them away. And I think that's the sort of thing, the comparison I came to was like, a meatless Monday is sort of an easier way to get people to eat less meat rather than just saying you have to be vegan all the time. And I think what we have to remember is that students, their phones were their social blanket or their, safety blanket, and they were their sort of social connection during the pandemic. So to sort of phones are useful for students in schools in ways that they weren't when I was a student. Students are submitting grades, they're checking their grades, they're on Google Docs, they're using their calendars. So, in my perspective, social media is the problem on the phones, but the phone itself is actually an educational tool in ways that we maybe don't understand if we're not in classrooms right now all the time.
It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
you
really
know, I'm
is.
sure parents and kids and teachers are having it all over the country. Erica Berry, thank you very much.
Thank you.